Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Naka Design. I am back. I'm doing this immediately after the modeling paste video, but with a few exceptions. I'm a little more prepared now. I found some more palette knives, so that this one is metal, these are plastic, and you can see different shapes. Well, these two are the same, and I'm sure I have more someplace else. So there's that. In the last video, whoopsie, I didn't try this little rubber spatula. This is probably a kid-size thing, like maybe from IKEA or Canadian Tire or someplace like that. Part of a set. I also found all my stencil brushes. Not because I think that that would be a good way to do modeling paste, but because I want to try maybe just some acrylic paint through stencils in this video. But look what else I found. Joint compound, dry decks, liquidation world hasn't been, okay, that was 09. Poly Instafilm. So together we're going to open these. I hope you have a strong stomach in case something has grown inside here. And if they're dried to the point of fossilization, yeah, I can't budge that. So let's throw this out once and for all. One down. Petrified. And see what I mean? 237 mils. And this, oh, this feels hard too. Yeah. Now, life is too short for me to try to see if that could be activated with water, because frankly, these things are years and years old. So they will be chucked out. And let's not kid ourselves into thinking we have something if we don't. And then, wonder of wonders, I found this. Goes on pink, dries white. It's same brand, DAP, Dry Decks. Let's just see. Has it even been opened? This is where I shoot myself in the face with some of it. These, that might be a paper seal on there. Where's my pokey thing? Like you can see, it's sort of like a toothpaste tube. You can squish it. Typically, you don't want to point a sharp object towards your hand, but I do have to. Now, I guess another thing that could be done here is to cut this tip off. And of course, what that will do is make the opening bigger. Now, I can see that there are, now is there a thread? There's just one row of thread on there. So should I be using my good scissors? Probably not. Oh. Should I be using my good scissors? Probably not. Oh. Oh, I guess a knife would have been smarter. Ah, now we have an opening. So, let's see what kind of a bead of this we get out. Does it come out? Oh. I can see nothing for quite a ways down. Now, I can't really tell. Now, maybe this line here was supposed to be the cut line. That's a more reasonable sized opening, I guess. Do we add this to the pile of discards? Oh, 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 I see something pink. Does the person have the strength, though, to get a usable... That's not too bad. But man, oh man, is that... Surface... Clean tools immediately with water. Oh, Lord, that's hard going. If you thought you got to work out getting your Fabri-Tac out, yeah, I would say that this is not really usable. Okay, so what I wanted to do, because, you know, once you made a big mess, oh, and I put on a painting shirt, once you make a big mess, you might as well carry on. So I have, and you've probably seen these before, I have a number of these sheets. I would say that's probably 12 by 12. And I thought, well, that's kind of a harvest, or a, you know, yeah, harvest fall color. I've got these leaf stencils. Why don't I see what happens if I mix some color, some fall colors. So I've got this worn penny. No, these are just things I grabbed. I don't know whether or not how they would do. Again, we're working on this goldenrod type of color paper, and of course it's very thin. So we've got that. This one is called Tangerine, which is kind of an art of, I mean, I don't know. If I were ambidextrous, I could shake two at once. Bright yellow. Again, you know, some of these are probably pretty old, and who knows if they've dried up. Grass green and espresso. This one sounds like nice and liquidy. I could have done this before I started the video. And then this is spun gold. You can hear that that's nice and flowy. Okay, so I thought that I would start with this stencil. I like these bigger leaves. And because I have these stencil, now this is Plaid brand, and it feels like, well, it is a bristle brush, and they must have come in plaid, and plaid. So they must have come in sets. Now, some of these, well, they're all different sizes, so we'll see. Obviously, the bigger, the better for for getting on with it. So I think what I'll do is just, do I dare use the side that has blue? Maybe not. Let's turn this over, fresh start. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put out a few drops of each color, do some blending just by, you know, moving the brush around, and see how this looks. Now, what I learned from the modeling paste video is start in the middle, and that way you're not well, mind you, this is paint, so this isn't quite the same scenario. We'll see if anything comes out of these things. Sometimes, oh, there's a bit. When a skin forms and it doesn't want to come out, this one hasn't been opened, you can just, what I do is just sometimes unscrew the cover, and if you just need a dab or two, you can get that right out of the cover and not even worry about what's going on in the rest of the bottle. because usually a person needs such a minute amount that it's, you know, not maybe worth the time to take right then to. Okay, let's see. This should be good since I just cracked the seal on it. Now that's way more paint than I'm sure I'm going to need, but, and we gotta have copper. Whoa, we gotta have copper just because that's my favorite metal. This is not coming out very, I mean, it's not. We better not put it by the, oh, see a drop of oil, so it hasn't really mixed. Or not oil, whatever that binding agent is. Don't put the green by the, oh, see? What's going on in there? A skewer. This is the equivalent of a paint stick. Yowzer. I guess that's staying where it landed. But I should, where's my palette knife? I should try to pick some of that up because I'll either stick my hand in it or it'll take forever to dry, or both. Or just lay down a if we're looking into a grove of trees, we're going to see all sorts of colors. So let's, oh, we said we're staying away from the yellow. Ooh, you didn't see me juggling this bottle off camera. And gold. That looks like it's separated. And don't give up on, you know, if you think, I think maybe the only point that I would say, okay, enough is enough, is if you had, if there was really an unpleasant smell coming from the bottle when you open it. Otherwise, this stuff can last for years. And again, we're not doing museum quality art here where we're having to attest to its archival blah 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 standards or construction or whatever you want to call it. I'm just kind of pouncing into the now it's easy to make a kind of I won't tell you what kind of a color. Oh, we said we're doing in the middle. No, we said it's not that important to do it in the middle because it's paint and it's going to be drying almost before. Especially with these heavy-duty flashlights lighting up my screen here. And this is probably a case where, you know, having a better, not better, bigger, I couldn't easily find a red, which would have been probably a nice addition to this. And again, because of the way this technique goes, there will probably be a bit of texture being built up. So if you're one of those people who says, I can't draw a straight line, oh my goodness. It's not cheating if you use stencils. And you're probably depriving yourself of some... Of course I dipped that. That's the problem when you don't quite have enough space. Oh, and now I did that. Oh well, the backside is going to be just as lovely as the front. Now, I do have that smaller maple leaf there that I think I'm going to have to use as well, because the way this is constructed, it's pretty, you know, there's a lot of space there that is without color. But the fact that I picked, see, that was the copper, I hope you can tell. Yeah. The fact that I picked, what was I going to say? I don't know. Now, of course, we need some of these coming off the page just for... And again, you know, at this point, I don't really have a plan other than I had all this stuff out, or a lot of it. And I thought, well, why don't I see what I can do? And of course, there's nothing stopping a person from going back in after this dries, either with Posca pens or gel pens or some kind of marker, to add some detail, like to either outline so it almost looks like it was a cartoon, not a cartoon, a coloring book page, or you know, add some shadows, like I can see using like a Payne's gray or something like that. I'm just, I was going to get to this, but maybe I shouldn't. Now, paint on here is, of course, not as, I don't want to put it in the water because then it'll be too wet to put back on the paper. Why don't I just try the tip of some of these leaves along the edge? I feel like I should have brought more colors out, because of course the danger is making mud. And of course, if we look at dry leaves, see, that kind of that kind of looks painterly there. If we look at dry leaves, we know that they are a combination of colors. And again, we don't want to fall into the bad habit of prejudging. And I suppose if I did less pouncing and more maybe pulling, there'd be a little more blending happening, and it would be easier to, oh, see, that looks better. So why don't I try to do some of that here, where these leaves have, or where this stencil is so wide open. Yeah, that's not great. Did I just dip my wrist in the... Yeah, so this isn't how this brush is intended to be used, but hey, I don't think the manufacturer's going to hunt me down and report me to the authorities. And of course, if we use it more like a brush, we probably have a little better control as to where the... And of course, if I didn't have such a blunt instrument here, if I used one of the finer brushes, more like a detail brush, then I could, you know, get it to... keep sticking my hand in that green. I could get the color, whatever, detail, highlight, whatever, more pinpointed. Now those look, I would say, awful. I like this one. Better do these three while I'm at it. And again, you know, this is just a starting point. When this is dry and you have a chance to assess what's going on, then you realize, oh, I don't have any of that luminous yellow color over here. So then you would naturally remedy that for the sake of the, you know, for the sake of the composition. Maybe that's something that's needed here. Oh, see, and by doing these kinds of angled streaks, it lends itself to adding those vein lines later. And again, one of the other potential hazards of painting is that a person becomes very myopic. All you can see is your last brush stroke. And you think to yourself, oh my goodness, somebody please take these brushes away from me. Strip me of my whatever. And that is foolishness. Person may feel justified in the moment, but that is really foolishness. See how adding those, that's a lovely little mark there. And of course, if I go back in later, say with a Stabilo All or a dark blue-gray gel pen, that will be, there are definitely possibilities there. Now, because this maple leaf is so nice, I better do a few more. One of the things that I've loved about painting with acrylics in the past is that, number one, they dry quickly. Although, you know, to be honest, that could also be a downside. At one point, I thought, and this I'm talking about when I was just a pipsqueak, maybe early 20s or something, I thought to myself, oh, you're not a real painter unless you're painting in oils. Well, with my sensitivity to bad smells, that was an ill-fated thing. So I don't know when acrylic paint was invented, but when I became aware of it, I don't think that's so great. When I became aware of it, I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Vibrancy of colors, quick drying time, not exactly a... And of course, a person could also go in with red in places. Another thing that I should do is to make some of my edges less perfect, because you know how leaves, and you can do that with highlights, of course, but leaves tend to have bite marks out of them. You know, insects have chewed at them a bit, or you know, some kind of a disease or something. So they're not like picture perfect edges, or they have begun curling as they're drying. So again, it's that will be kind of easier to build upon with the final tool, whatever tool that is, that a person uses to finish some of this stuff off. Seems like I need something lighter happening over here. And of course, I should also be layering things over each other for more depth of the picture plane and color and so on. Now, I should have looked for kind of a brick red or a terracotta orange type color. Again, because I chose this color paper, part of the job is done for me, because I don't have to, I'm not trying to cover up white. Oh, bad, 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 bad. Spread, spread, spread. Yeah, not that thrilled with how that went. Now maybe I should do one of those kindergarten leaves. Maybe I'll purposely leave that edge ragged. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, baby. Mind you, I didn't really have any other colors there, did I? I think this flashlight of mine, these lights here are drying this paint a little faster than normal. And of course, I'm not finishing this while you're here watching, because that's just not the nature of how this goes. Ooh, I like that one. Can really build the detail up with guess I could use that oak leaf too for a variety of leaf shape. I wonder what would happen if I added some copper to this espresso. And maybe I'll just do like so. Oh, that's so much paint loaded on there. I should have pounced that off. Big, thick something there. Put some over this green. So I hope that this, my willingness to show you ugly stuff for all the world to see. Oh, isn't that, whoops, I just got paint on the flashlight. Isn't that copper just the cat's meow? Oh, I love that. Okay, let's use more of this. I hope the fact that I'm willing to embarrass myself here by showing you things in the ugly phase gives you permission to pull out your stuff. I'm sure you have stencils of all kinds. And imagine if these were some really fancy, dancy, la-di-da stencils. Oh, I'm loving how this turns out. But because I had these green things, that is very, that's not an organic shape like the leaves are. So that maybe has to be my next mission here, to try to knock that back. And I'm sure you have noticed that I keep turning this hither and yon. Now I haven't rinsed out this brush since I started. So, you know, it does sort of almost turn to a mud color. So it might not hurt to you know, whoa, that's not good. You know, clean your brush occasionally and you're starting fresh. I don't have maybe a Kleenex in my pocket. It's almost, it almost dries before it hits the paper, to be honest. Get that lint off there. There are some definitely some lovely ones here. And I think that at some point I need to pause and figure out sort of a composition here. Well, I mean, I guess that's one way of skinning this cat. Figure out a composition and begin supporting that through the next strokes and positioning that a person does. Or the other alternative could be to cover the whole surface, especially since I have those green boo-boos there to worry about. To cover every single thing. Now, again, this almost could be, let me just pick a Sharpie here. You know, without it being the plan, that almost becomes a leaf shape. And this could be that jaggedy little diseased hole or insect bites. I didn't know I was going to do this. And again, a broken textural hit and miss kind of line is going to appear more painterly than a coloring book type drawing. Maybe I'm cleaning my brush because I don't want to put out any more paint. We've been at this a while. Where's my roll of toilet paper when I need it? Now this is a very fine, this is just intended, a Staedtler Cool Roller. This is intended to be, you know, writing in your planner or something, not necessarily and you can curl the leaves back on themselves. Very fine. So that's one look. Now, of course, if a light touch is what a person is aiming for here, then that's great. If a person wanted it to be a little more let's say dramatic, then, and you can see I'm holding it further back up the stem or up the shaft of the pen. That tends to allow for a looser wrist and a more a lighter touch, because if I was gripping this for all I'm worth, you know, like when little kids are learning how to print and they just about snuff the life out of that pencil because they've gripped it so tight. That gives you a different line quality than if you hold it differently. Now, of course, this one appears to be under that one, so we better put this one over. I also think maybe it's more protective of the little roller in the pen. And you know how sometimes, I don't know if you'll see that, you end up with a little, that little tip almost disappears. And of course, I'm doing this out of my head, but a person could certainly, you know, snip a branch of something off, either from the ditch near your house or an ornamental tree in your own yard, and just take a look. I've told you before that when I was taking art classes from this famous New York painter, she said, I'm not going to teach you how to paint pretty pictures. I'm going to teach you how to see. Because, of course, we all have preconceived ideas about what a leaf looks like. But until we actually look at one, we could be way off base. And it's also a more painterly look if you go beyond. If you go beyond where the paint is, or you go inside where the paint is. Again, it doesn't look like it came out of a coloring book. And of course, there are no Edith Holdens among us, so we're not trying for botanical accuracy. But we want it to be pleasing. And because the viewer also thinks they know what a leaf looks like. Oh, I didn't do any veins on this guy. They're going to fill in any, in their mind's eye, they're going to fill in any missing marks that you neglected to put in. They're going to think, oh, yeah, that's a leaf, and I know leaves have veins. I don't need to see every single vein, but that's a believable leaf. Yeah, this is the poorest shape thing. That's why I'm taking a little extra pains to try to give it a little more interest. If you have seen the Tim Holtz, what do you call it, dies, where he's got those tattered leaves, I have that, and I love it. So again, someplace like this where I've got these lack of color, that can be a point of damage. A little point of damage right there. Point of damage right there. I don't know about, I don't know about you guys, but honestly, I am loving doing this. It makes me a little sad that I haven't been sort of studio painting for so long. I should say, I don't often do commercials for myself, but in my coffee shop, I have a membership group called Words and Pictures. And for a low monthly fee, $3 Canadian, you can get access to a new reproduction of an art piece of mine every month, and a Word document, layout, list of quotes. In fact, one month I created a word find puzzle using words that we care about. Button, collage, dozens of words in a typical word find format. Anyway, so of course, once you become a member, you have access to everything that's come before. And I started that January of 2024. So now there would be, well, once I put up October's, which is always the 15th of the month, there will be 10 months worth of art pieces. Now, some of them are watercolors, some are acrylic, some are doodling. It's kind of, whatever I feel like and whatever. See, the problem is that when I painted a lot of, or created a lot of that art, cell phone cameras either weren't in existence or they were poor. And once something has been framed and is behind glass, in order for me to take a good photograph of it now, I need to open it up and photograph it with today's technology. Now, the other thing about that is if it's an acrylic painting that I use used a finish on, there could be a reflective quality to that. So, you know, that's not ideal, but so of course, anything, you know, it's like buying digitals. You have the right to use it in your creations, but obviously not to share it or sell it. I mean, that's the typical decent thing and the copyright thing to do. So anyway, just something to consider, because now that I have sort of rediscovered this, there will probably be some newer creations to share. We'll make this look like that leaf turned back on itself. I am loving it. So as I've said, I need to do something. Too bad I didn't try blending that a bit more. I'll have to put something there and there and there to get rid of those sharp lines. Or, you know, there's always the option of, where are my little matte corners? Let me show you what I mean. I thought they were right here. Come on. Sorry, guys. Of course, these videos have a mind of their own. Who knows where they're going to go at any moment. What the heck? What the heck? I can't find it. Anyway, I was going to do my two L-shaped things to show you how cropping, if these blotches have ruined it, then maybe I crop it like so, because that's the more beautiful part, or like so, or, you know, whatever. With that L shape, with those L-shaped things, you can you treat it as a viewfinder, and you find the best possible places to crop if necessary. But I'm not going to give up on this just yet. I will continue to work on this. So thank you so much for being here, and like I say, I hope that you choose to that's why you wear a paint shirt, so that you can wipe up the messes. I hope that you choose to pull out your department store colors, your stencils, your paper. Now, I used these stencil brushes. Now, if you don't have stencil brushes, I would say that for not very much money, you can buy bristle brushes. Well, okay, this is obviously not the right shape, but these sorts of bristle brushes are, well, pretty affordable. Of course, this is a flat, so you would typically want a round, although I could have dry brushed some of the leaf strokes, and of course they come in every size. This is a 10. I could have done a dry brushing technique. Let's just do that quickly. Maybe let's try to cover up some of the green mess over here. Oh, is all my paint dry though? Okay, so you would, oh, there's very little on here. You would, again, pounce, because you're just getting the tips. Trying to pick up some other colors besides that green. That'll be mostly green, I guess, which is okay since I'm trying to cover up green. Then keeping your brush quite vertical, you would do those kinds of strokes. So, but what I was going to say initially, if you can't find stencil brushes, because who knows, they maybe stenciling isn't in its heyday, so it might be hard to find them. You can dip your, oh, this is all dried. You can, I should pause and just finish a thought, hey? You can, I don't want to wreck these beautiful parts here. You can buy a bristle brush. Of course, you wouldn't buy a flat, you'd buy a round, and then shorten the bristles. You know, you could just cut them off if you wanted, or at least that's what I would do if I had to improvise. I'm almost, it's like when your tank in your car is almost empty and you're driving, you feel like you're driving on fumes. Well, I'm painting on fumes here. I don't have enough paint to actually cover anything. Although that is kind of a nice effect too. Might have to do a bit more of that. This is really getting your money's worth out of that paint. But it does serve the purpose of softening those ugly green things I did in the beginning. Now here, that's dry. Let me just quickly clean my brush. See, I already said goodbye, and here I still am. I put the pen away too. Okay, this unfortunate thing becomes a long leaf. Now it looks like we had a plan there. Now this big thing underneath here is, I don't know what I'm going to do there, but I wonder if I've already, can I get anything, can I activate any of this paint? Doesn't help that my brush is now moist. That's not ideal because, so stop doing it, for heaven's sakes. I don't listen to myself, do I? Yeah, that has dried on there too much. This wet brush is not helping. Okay, so now I'm really saying goodbye. I think you're just going to have to tune in to see how this turns out. Now, again, I'm still in the throes of trying to help get the crop off. So I guess that that part is dry. I guess that the best bet for seeing this might be another purpose, you know, coming back strictly for that purpose to finish it, or in a follow-up Friday. I think sometimes there are holes. Why can't we do just a hole too? Okay. Thanks, guys. We will see you in the next one. Bye.